Hello guys, welcome to True Crimes with Dixon. I'm thrilled to have you join me today. If you find value in the stories and discussions we share here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's completely free, and it ensures you won't miss out on future content. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. It truly means the world to me. Now let's turn our attention to today's gripping story. Before we dive into today's story, I want to take a moment to thank each of you for being here. Your interest and support make it possible for us to explore these important, often overlooked narratives that shape our world. Today, we're going to delve into a story that's as shocking as it is tragic, a tale that will challenge our understanding of faith, desperation, and the human psyche. It's not an easy story to tell or to hear, but it's one that I believe is crucial for us to confront and understand. As we embark on this narrative journey together, I encourage you to keep an open mind, to question, and to reflect. Your thoughts and perspectives matter, so feel free to share them in the comments section below. Now, let's turn our attention to a remote forest in Kenya, where a community's search for salvation led to an unimaginable tragedy. Deep in the Kenyan wilderness, where dangerous wildlife roams free, a sinister tale unfolded that would shock the world. It began with a charismatic preacher's promise of salvation and ended with hundreds of bodies buried in shallow graves. The Shakahola Forest Massacre isn't just a story of religious extremism gone wrong. It's a chilling reminder of how faith, desperation, and charisma can combine to create a perfect storm of tragedy. Imagine a place where parents willingly starved their own children, where death was celebrated as a wedding, and where the promise of heaven led to a hell on earth. This isn't the plot of a horror movie, but the all-too-real story of Paul Mackenzie and his Good News International Church. As we delve into this dark chapter of recent history, prepare to question everything you thought you knew about the power of belief and the depths of human vulnerability. In the southeastern reaches of Kenya, where the vast Tsavo National Park meets civilization, lies the Shakahola Forest. Once known only for its dangerous wildlife and the occasional forays of local villagers seeking wood or grazing land, this forest became the stage for one of Kenya's most horrific tragedies. The story of Shakahola is a chilling tale of faith twisted into fanaticism, of desperate hopes leading to unimaginable horrors, and of a charismatic leader's descent into madness that claimed hundreds of lives. The saga began innocuously enough in late 2019. Residents of Shakahola village noticed strangers arriving in small groups, venturing into parts of the forest deemed uninhabitable due to the presence of lions, leopards, and other dangerous animals. These newcomers, undeterred by the risks, began clearing land and building simple homes. Changawa Mangi, a village elder, recounted how they would see women and children come to town to buy maize, but attempts to learn more about them were met with reticence. At the heart of this mysterious migration was Paul Mackenzie, a 47-year-old charismatic preacher who led a fringe church called Good News International. Mackenzie's journey to infamy was a gradual one, marked by increasingly radical teachings and brushes with the law. His church, once focused on general criticisms of modern education and Western influences, had evolved into a doomsday cult with Mackenzie at its center. The arrival of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 proved to be a turning point. As fear and uncertainty gripped Kenya, Mackenzie's prophecies seemed to be coming true. His followers, seeing the world they knew crumbling around them, flocked to the forest in greater numbers. By mid-2020, an estimated 2,000 people had joined Mackenzie's commune in Shakahola. Life in the forest took on an otherworldly quality. The community was organized into villages with biblical names like Bethlehem, Galilee, and Nazareth. Mackenzie himself resided in Judea, a compound where he held meetings with church officials. Followers were stripped of their old identities, destroying ID cards and educational certificates, and adopting new names. Contact with the outside world was forbidden, enforced by armed thugs who patrolled the settlements. For a time, it seemed that Mackenzie had delivered on his promises. His followers found a place where they could worship freely, away from the judgments of family and society. Many who had known only poverty found their basic needs met for the first time. But this illusion of paradise was built on a foundation of lies and manipulation. As 2022 ended, Mackenzie made his most fateful proclamation yet. He declared that the world would end in August 2023, and that to ascend to heaven, his followers must leave their earthly bodies behind. What followed was a period of forced starvation, beginning with the children, then women and unmarried men, and finally the married men. Mackenzie claimed he would be the last to die, as he needed to preside over the funerals of his congregation. The horrors that unfolded in the forest over the next few months are almost beyond comprehension. Children cried out in hunger as their parents watched helplessly, torn between their faith in Mackenzie and their instincts to protect their offspring. Those who succumbed to starvation were buried in shallow graves, their deaths celebrated as weddings, marking their ascension to heaven. It wasn't until February 2023 that the outside world began to glimpse the tragedy unfolding in Shakahola. Local herders stumbled upon emaciated individuals lying in the forest, too weak to move. When they tried to help, they were threatened by Mackenzie's armed guards. A group of boys who managed to escape told harrowing tales of forced starvation and murder. As news of the horrors began to spread, authorities finally took action. On April 14, 2023, a team including police officers, pathologists, gravediggers, human rights activists, and journalists entered the forest. What they found shocked the nation and the world. Bodies in various states of decomposition were scattered throughout the forest. Some victims had been strangled or bludgeoned to death, possibly to hasten their ascension or to silence those who tried to escape. The rescue effort revealed further grotesque ironies. While hundreds had starved to death, the homes of church leaders and Mackenzie's enforcers were found stocked with food. Mackenzie's own residence contained ample supplies, including fresh milk and a varied menu plan. In the aftermath of the discovery, the scale of the tragedy continued to grow. To date, 429 bodies have been recovered from the forest, including nearly 200 children. Hundreds more followers of Good News International remain missing and are feared dead. The mortuary in nearby Malindi remains filled to capacity, with only a fraction of the victims identified and released to their families. The legal proceedings against Mackenzie and his associates move slowly through the Kenyan justice system. The prosecution faces significant challenges, including a lack of willing witnesses and the continued faith of many survivors in Mackenzie's teachings. Even from prison, Mackenzie has managed to communicate with his followers, urging them to continue fasting. The Shakahola tragedy has raised difficult questions for Kenyan society. How could such horrors unfold unnoticed for so long? What drives people to follow charismatic leaders to such extreme ends? And how can similar tragedies be prevented in the future? The pervasiveness of evangelical Christianity in Kenya complicates efforts to monitor and regulate religious organizations. Even as the nation grapples with the aftermath of Shakahola, there are reports of preachers using rhetoric similar to Mackenzie's, suggesting that the underlying conditions that allowed this tragedy to occur remain unaddressed. For the survivors and the families of the victims, the road to healing is long and uncertain. Many, like Salema Masha, who escaped with her children, face dire poverty and struggle to rebuild their lives. The children rescued from the forest are only now beginning to receive education and care, their futures forever altered by their experiences. As Kenya continues to reckon with the Shakahola tragedy, it serves as a stark reminder of the potential for faith to be twisted into a destructive force. It challenges society to find a balance between religious freedom and protecting vulnerable individuals from exploitation. The hope remains that from this dark chapter, lessons will be learned and safeguards put in place to prevent such a catastrophe from ever happening again. The story of Shakahola Forest is far from over. As investigations continue, as families seek closure, and as the nation grapples with the implications of this tragedy, it will undoubtedly leave an indelible mark on Kenya's history and collective consciousness. As we reflect on the tragedy of Shakahola, we're left with a haunting question. In a world where people are increasingly seeking meaning and community, how can we distinguish between genuine spiritual guidance and dangerous manipulation? What responsibility do we as a society bear in preventing vulnerable individuals from falling prey to extremist ideologies while still respecting freedom of belief. I hope this story has given you pause for thought and perhaps sparked some important conversations. Remember, your engagement doesn't have to end here. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections in the comments section below. Thank you for watching.